Now, in the 4x4 market, a lot of people think that the Shogun is one of the best in terms of reliability and build and all the rest of it. There's not much that can match the Shogun, is there?
In all fairness, no. The Shogun is probably one of the market leaders. The Land Rovers are very, very popular, but the Shoguns themselves are, in all fairness, in my eyes, streets ahead of the other competition that's out there. Mitsubishi are well renowned for their reliability, for their build quality, because it's Japanese. They're very popular out there. There's a bit of status to owning one. They are a good all-rounder, they really are.
Now, these were first introduced back in '91, and then there was a slight revision around the bodywork about '97, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's right. Yeah, they brought them out. They've still got the 3-litre V6, or now, which has been replaced by the 3.5 V6. The earlier ones had the 2.5 turbo diesel. Now these are the 2.8 turbo diesel. They changed the specs quite drastically, and as you can see from this one, they've changed the looks of them as well.
Now, inside, they're a bit tacky and a bit plasticky unless you try and find one that's got the diamond option pack on.
That's right, they are bland inside. As most Japanese cars, they're good for the build quality, good for what you would say for some of the accessories, but on actual attraction inside, they're built to do a job really in their eyes for when they build them. Because a lot of people, even though do use this for pleasurable use, they are actually, there's a lot of these that are actually worked properly, so hence basically the basic trim inside. Like you say, if you're lucky enough to find one on the used car market with a diamond option pack, you've got the leather trim inside, and some have the walnut cap-ins, and some have the air conditioning, which is very, very nice. It makes it a luxurious car then.
And if you do want a car that can handle the rough stuff and the real 4x4 stuff, is this as good as the old Land Rovers, the traditional Land Rovers?
Truthfully, yes, they are. I mean, as technology goes by, they are so well built that the climb ratio, what they can go up to, is unbelievable. They really will take the punishment. They're not just a glorified sort of road hugger. These things will go off-road and work.
Oh my lord, I'm driving a diesel. I seem to have got a bit of a reputation for being someone who doesn't like diesels. Now, I don't know where that could have possibly come from, but it's true. So this is the diesel. This is the Shogun diesel, the 2.8 turbo diesel intercooler engine. It's the GLS 5-door model, and it's practically brand new. This would have cost you, if you'd gone to a Mitsubishi dealer, some £29,000 or so. But this, with just 90 miles on the clock, is £25,500. So that represents a pretty good saving over the new list price. And of course, it's got all the stuff on it. It's got all the toys on it, air conditioning. It's not got leather trim, just the basic cloth seats, but it's a very comfortable car. Unfortunately, it's a typical Japanese car. What I mean by that is masses and masses of grey plastic across the dashboard, which just looks awful, and they seem to have done nothing about it over the years. Many Japanese manufacturers, in trying to come up with something different that looks more pleasant on the eye. Quite frankly, this looks horrible compared to the Grand Cherokee that we've driven. Now, one thing that you can say about the whole of the Shogun range is that they do hold their value very well. You can have the short wheelbase, the long wheelbase models. You can have 3-litre 3.5 V6 engines. There's a 2.5 diesel and this 2.8 turbo diesel. This one only produces 123 brake horsepower, so it's no racer away from the traffic lights, but it's quite quiet and refined once you get up to cruising speeds. Around town and at tickover, it's a pretty noisy unit. As for fuel economy on these diesel engines, well, to be honest, they're not great. I mean, when you look at something like Audi and VW diesel engines, which can get you 40, 50, 60 miles to your gallon of diesel, and compare this, which only does mid-20s to the gallon, you can see it's not great. So what about inside the Shogun's cabin? Well, as you can see, it's fairly nicely trimmed. You don't get the leather in this option, but you do get some quite nice ideas like this fold-down armrest with an integrated famous cup holder in there. There's one there and there's one on the other side as well, and it's very comfortable, the seating position. How about space in the rear of the Shogun? Well, what you do get with the Shogun is the option of these 2 extra jump seats, which quite easily fold down and fold up to give you lots of extra luggage space. But of course, with those up, you get very little luggage space. Whereas in the back of the Grand Cherokee, it's actually fairly cavernous. Unfortunately, one downside with the Cherokee is that you've got to have the wheel inside the cabin, unless you buy an extra item, which is a bar which you can put on the back to have the wheel fitted there, which gives you more luggage space. But that's a big area in there, And rear passengers fare very well in the Grand Cherokee. It's very comfortable, all leather trimmed and wood, and really is very nice. So which of these two 4x4s would we choose to drive home tonight? Well, if it was me, I think I'd go for this £20,000 Grand Cherokee. My heart would sink every time I went to fill it up at the petrol pumps, with it only doing about 15 miles to the gallon on average, whereas the Shogun is definitely better because it's a diesel. But for me, this is the car to go for.